He is a creature of the edges, while the clan gathers in the heart of the shelter. A wide, sandy hollow carved from the base of the great cliff. The boy Nari sits apart. He is small for his age, an orphan whose place in the rigid social hierarchy is somewhere below the last minus-ranking female. When the hunters return with a kill, today, a scrawny antelope, he is the last to eat. He watches now as Karg, the dominant male, tears up the choicest piece of meat, his powerful jaws cracking bone. The others hoot and jostle for possession, their attention a tight orbit around the center of power. Nari gets nothing but the smell of blood on the hot air and the gnawing ache in his own belly. This is the unchangeable landscape of his young life. His isolation grants him one thing the others do not have: a different perspective. Unconcerned with the politics of the clan, his eyes are free to wander. He watches the lizards scuttling for flies on the sun-warmed rocks. He watches the way the wind makes patterns in the fine dust. And he watches the mountain. The cliff face is their protector. It shields them from the biting winds of the night and offers no purchase for the great hunting cats that prowl the savannah below. Its sheer, ochre-minus-colored wall is as constant and reliable as the rising of the sun. But today, something is different. It starts as a flicker of movement in his peripheral vision. A small puff of dust, high up, near the dark fissure that splits the cliff's crown. It could be the wind. He watches, his head cocked. A few moments later, another puff, larger this time. Then, a sound, so faint the others do not even register it over their squabbles. It is the dry, scratchy skitter of a few small pebbles falling down the long, sloping bank of loose rock at the cliff's base. The scree slope. This, too, is not entirely unnatural. The mountain is always shedding its skin in small, insignificant ways. But the interval is wrong. The silence that follows is too short. Another rattle of falling stones, this time a cascade that lasts for several seconds. Nari gets to his feet, his gaze now fixed on the fissure high above. The dust is no longer puffing, it is trickling. A steady, fine-grained hourglass pouring from a wound in the stone. He feels a vibration, not in his ears, but in the soles of his bare feet. It is a deep, almost subsonic tremor, a hum that speaks of immense pressure deep within the rock. This is his emotional turning point. Primal fear, cold and sharp, cuts through his hunger. The unchanging world is changing. The great, silent protector is stirring in its sleep. He looks back at the clan. They are oblivious. Karg is cuffing a subordinate who got too close to his meal. The females are grooming each other, their fingers picking meticulously through thick, matted hair. Their world is small, loud, and immediate. Nari's world has suddenly become the mountain, and he is the only one watching it prepare to shrug. Fear is a physical thing. It is a cold stone in Nari's gut, heavier than any hunger. But the tremor in the earth is more real. Their choice is not a choice. To stay silent is to die. He takes a breath and walks forward, leaving the safety of the edge and entering the charged circle of the clan. Each step is a transgression. He is moving toward the alpha, toward the meat, into a space he is not welcome. The others see him. The low level chatter of the group falters. A few turn their heads, their expressions flattened unwelcoming. They are a wall of indifference he must pass through. He stops a few feet from Karg. The big male is hunched over the antelope's ribcage, stripping the last tendons from the bone with his teeth. He smells of sweat, blood, and absolute authority. Nari makes a soft sound, a low, questioning whimper. Karg ignores him. Nari takes another step. He points a thin, trembling arm up at the fissure in the cliff face. He makes a rumbling sound in his chest, mimicking the vibration he feels. He opens and closes his hands to show the idea of falling, of crumbling. He is trying to give them the gift of his foresight, to translate the language of the mountain into a warning they can understand. Karg stops chewing. He lifts his massive head, his lips curl back from his long canine teeth, a piece of gristle stuck in his hair. He does not look at the mountain. He looks at Nari. His eyes are cold, hard pebbles of contempt. To Karg, This is not a warning. It is an interruption. It is an annoyance from a worthless, peripheral male. Nari points again, more desperately this time,
At last,
his
they
whimper
collapse.
rising in pitch. This is his mistake. The show of fear triggers not concern, but aggression. Karg rises to his full height, puffing out his chest. He lets out a short, sharp burst. It is the first stage of a classic threat display. Nari freezes, his arms still outstretched. Karg takes 2 heavy steps forward, his knuckles brushing the dusty ground. He unleashes a deafening roar directly into Anayara's face. It is a physical blow of sound, meant to intimidate, to dominate, to shatter the will of a challenger. Nari stumbles backward, falling into the sand, scrambling to get away. The other clan members react instantly, siding with power. A few younger males bark in imitation of Karg, reinforcing the social order. One of Karg's own offspring, a juvenile male, picks up a bone and hurls it in Nari's direction. The principles of kin selection are brutal and clear. The family of the powerful is protected, the orphan is a target. If you wish to understand the deep, often cruel, arithmetic of survival that shaped us, you must become a witness. Join the Chronicle. Subscribe. Nari has not just failed to deliver his message, he has been violently reminded of his place. He retreats back to his lonely spot at the edge of the shelter, his skin buzzing with shame and fear. As he sits, the mountain speaks again. A deep, grinding groan echoes from the rock, and a shower of stones, some as large as a man's head, clatter rest down the scree slope. This time, everyone stops. Every head turns and looks up. There is a moment of shared, uneasy silence. This is Nari's chance. This is the moment his warning could be validated. But Karg, ever the alpha, reasserts control. He gives the cliff a cursory glance, then lets out a dismissive grunt and turns his back on it, deliberately returning to his meal. The message is clear. I am not afraid. Therefore, you are not afraid. The clan, trusting the simple, visible evidence of his strength over the subtle, invisible threat of the mountain, follows his lead. They turn back to the carcass, and the moment is lost. The groan of the mountain becomes a constant, a deep, resonant hum that vibrates through the rock, through the sand, through the very bones of the clan. The smaller animals are the first to heed the warning. The lizards vanish into cracks. A colony of rock hyrexes. Their shrill barks a constant background noise, fall silent and disappear into their burrows. The air itself feels heavy, charged with a terrible potential energy. But the clan, held in the thrall of Karg's dominance, tries to ignore it. They finish the carcass. Their movements now quicker, more furtive. The feast has lost its savor. They are a community caught between the instinct to flee and the instinct to obey. Nari is a coiled spring of terror. He knows what is coming. The when is a mystery, but the what is a certainty. He makes one last, desperate attempt. He does not approach Karg again. Instead, he goes to the oldest female, a matriarch with a newborn clinging to her fur. He touches her arm, his eyes wide with a plea that transcends the need for language. He points not to the mountain, but to the open savanna, to the safety of distance. For a moment, she seems to understand. She looks from his face to the trembling ground, and a flicker of fear crosses her own. But then Karg barks a sharp command, a call for the clan to settle for grooming and sleep. The matriarch looks back at the alpha, then at Nari, and makes her choice. She chooses the familiar comfort of the hierarchy over the terrifying prophecy of an outcast. She turns away. That is when the sound changes. The deep, grinding hum escalates into a deafening, cracking roar. It is the sound of a world breaking. The fissure at the top of the cliff explodes outward, a vast section of the mountain. A slab of rock the size of 100 mammoths detaches from the face for a single, surreal second. It seems to hang in the air, defying gravity. Then, it falls. This is the catastrophic event. The brutal, indifferent climax to the mountain's long, slow complaint. Panic is instantaneous and absolute. The social hierarchy evaporates in a single, heart-minded stopping moment of pure terror. Karg is no longer an alpha. He is just another terrified animal scrambling for his life. The rock slide is an avalanche of stone and dust. Boulders the size of huts bounce down the scree slope, obliterating everything in their path. The air fills with a thick, choking cloud of yellow dust that blots out the sun. The clan scatters in every direction, their screams swallowed by the apocalyptic roar. But Nari does not run blindly. In his hours of watching, his fear had a purpose. He had traced a path, a line of escape. He scrambles not straight out, but sideways, towards a deep, eroded gully that offers a sliver of protection. He shrinks. A high mine is pitched, desperate call, waving for the others to follow. A few do. The old matriarch, her infant screaming, sees him and changes direction. Her maternal instinct for adaptive behavior finally overriding her social conditioning. The main slide hits the shoulder. A wave of annihilation that pulverizes the ground where they had been sitting just moments before. Boulders crush boulders. The sound a continuous, rolling thunder from the safety of the gully. Nari and the small group of survivors watch their home, their world, be erased. Karg is gone. Many others are gone. When the last echoes of the slide fade and the dust begins to settle, the silence is more profound than the noise that came before it. Nari, the boy from the edges, stands at the center of the ragged, shocked group of survivors. He spoke for the mountain, and now, in the terrible silence of the aftermath, his is the only voice that matters. In the grey, dust-minus choked twilight, the survivors look at a world made new and terrible. Their shelter is gone, buried under 1,000 tons of rock. Their leader is gone. The rigid certainty of their social structure lies shattered with the storms. But they are alive. And they are alive because of the one they had ignored. Nari's survival was not just a personal victory. It was a profound evolutionary event for this small, struggling clan of Australopithecus afarensis. It was a brutal, real-world demonstration that the skills necessary for survival are not always the ones that are most visible. Brute strength, dominance, the traits that had defined Karg's power, proved useless against a threat that required not muscle, but perception. This is a recurring theme in the vast narrative of hominid history. The outcasts, the watchers, the ones who see the world differently, are often the crucibles of adaptation. Their unique perspective, born of isolation, becomes the clan's salvation. The survivors who crawl from the dust of this disaster will carry with them a new and vital piece of cultural knowledge. The quietest voice can be the most important one. This is how a species learns. Not through a grand, sweeping design, but here, in the rubble, where a boy who was nothing became everything. Power is a loud noise. Wisdom is a tremor in the rock. But what happens when the mountain that falls is a mountain of ice?